the experiment below. If you've made it this far into the story, you've already stepped inside the gates of Black Dolphin. There's no turning back now. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story, it's a secret that was never meant to be told. The hidden badge. The small, scorched badge lay heavy in Sergei's palm, its metal edges cold as the air in his cell. I.S. Igor Sokolov. The name echoed through his thoughts like a forgotten warning. Sokolov had vanished 5 years earlier while investigating high-level corruption tied to human trafficking in the Russian Interior Ministry. Sergei had been his partner then, and when Sokolov disappeared, Sergei had been accused of covering it up. That accusation had led directly to his imprisonment. But if Sokolov's badge had found its way into Black Dolphin, that could only mean one thing: he'd been here. Maybe still was. Every instinct in Sergei screamed to dig deeper, to find out who left it for him. But curiosity in this place was a death sentence. Black Dolphin wasn't built just to imprison men, it was built to erase questions. Still, for the first time since his arrival, Sergei felt something flicker inside him, a reason to stay alive. The routine of control life inside the prison followed a rhythm that crushed the mind. At 6 a.m., a guard's baton would strike the metal bars, a signal for inmates to stand at attention. Each prisoner had exactly 90 seconds to make their bed, wash, and line up facing the cell door. Breakfast followed, a ladle of thin porridge and a slice of bread no bigger than a hand. After that came the inspection walk. Each inmate was escorted, bent at 90 degrees, through the corridors. Sergei learned to count the steps between corners: 27 from his cell to the left junction, 14 more to the stairwell, 38 to the outer hall. He memorized every sound: the buzz of fluorescent lights, the echo of boots, the faint hum of the ventilation shafts. He wasn't planning an escape. Not yet. He was gathering data. Old habits die hard. At night, the screams continued. But now, they weren't random. They came from the same direction each time: the south wing, a section supposedly sealed off years ago. Rumor among the inmates called it the laboratory. The voices returned one evening, as the lights dimmed slightly, the only difference between day and night here. Sergei heard the whisper again through the vent. "You found it, didn't you?" He froze, crouching low near the drain. "Who is this?" he whispered back. "You already know. Don't speak names here. They're listening." The voice was low, raspy, but familiar. It couldn't be Igor? Silence stretched on for what felt like forever. "Then, you need to get to the south wing. They're doing things there, experiments. On us." Sergei's heart pounded. "How are you alive?" "Barely. They moved me here after the investigation. Said it was for national security." "The guards, they're not guards, Sergei. They're researchers." The voice faded before he could ask more. He banged on the vent, whispering Igor's name over and over, but no response came. By dawn, Sergei wasn't sure if it had been real, or if Black Dolphin had finally begun to break him. The plan. In the following days, Sergei observed the guards' routines carefully. He noticed one guard, Mikhail, who was different from the rest. He was younger, nervous, always avoiding eye contact. When he delivered meals, his hands trembled slightly. Sergei decided to test him. During lunch, he said softly, "I know what they're doing in the south wing." Mikhail froze mid-step. For a moment, their eyes met, and in that second, Sergei saw fear. Not of him, but of something else. Later that night, a folded scrap of paper slid under his door. It read, "Tomorrow. Exercise yard. Watch for the red armband." That message could mean anything: a setup, a trap, or a lifeline. But in Black Dolphin, any movement was better than stillness. The yard. The next morning, Sergei's turn for the daily exercise came. The yard was a narrow cage under open steel grates. The prisoners could see the sky, but never touch it. Snowflakes drifted down through the bars like silent ash. Guards patrolled the perimeter, rifles slung across their chests. And there, at the far gate, stood a man with a red armband. Mikhail. He didn't look directly at Sergei, but as Sergei walked past, the guard dropped a small object onto the icy ground, a key, no larger than a thumb, wrapped in tape. Sergei's pulse raced. He stepped over it, pretending not to notice, until the guards called time. When they cuffed him and led him back through the corridors, his foot slid over the same spot, scooping the key discreetly into his shoe. He didn't know what it opened. But he knew where to start, the south wing. The forbidden corridor that night, Sergei waited for the perfect window, between 2 o'clock and 2:15 a.m., when patrols rotated. He'd memorized the sound pattern of their boots. When the rhythm changed, he moved. He slid the small key into the maintenance hatch at the end of his corridor. The lock clicked open with a faint metallic whisper. Beyond it lay a narrow passage lined with pipes and rusted steel. He crawled through, the air thick with the smell of mold and iron. After a few meters, he found a ladder leading down. The deeper he went, the colder it became, not the natural cold of stone, but mechanical, forced cold. At the bottom, he found a heavy door with a faded sign in Russian, Object Number 7, Access Prohibited. The key fit perfectly. Inside was darkness. And then, faint light flickering from behind glass panels. Rows of cells, but not ordinary ones. Each contained a single metal chair, straps fixed to the arms and legs, with cables running into the walls. Behind each chair, a monitor blinked faintly, displaying only heart rates and brainwave patterns. And in one of them, a silhouette moved. The living ghost Sergei approached cautiously. The figure lifted its head, and for the first time in 5 years, Sergei saw Igor Sokolov's face. Pale. Sunken. Eyes wide with exhaustion, but alive. "Sergei," Igor whispered, voice trembling. "You shouldn't have come." "What is this place?" Sergei demanded, gripping the bars. "They're testing psychological endurance, how far a man can be broken before he stops being human. They use us for studies. Sleep deprivation, sensory torture, isolation loops. But that's not all. They're trying to create obedience, complete, irreversible obedience." Sergei felt his blood turn to ice. "Who's behind this?" Igor looked toward the ceiling, where faint humming echoed through hidden speakers. "You already know their names. The same men who sent us here." Before Sergei could reply, alarms blared through the hall. Red lights flashed. Footsteps thundered above. "Go!" Igor shouted. "They'll kill you if they find you here." But Sergei couldn't leave him again. He tried the lock, it was electric, far beyond the key's reach. Guards' voices grew louder. Shadows moved at the end of the corridor. Sergei backed toward the hatch, the sound of boots closing in. As he climbed back into the maintenance shaft, Igor's voice echoed behind him, "They'll erase you next, Sergei. Don't let them." End of episode 2. Sergei barely made it back to his cell before the guards reached his block. His heart pounded as he hid the key under a loose brick. Above him, the prison seemed to breathe, every light, every camera, alive and watching.